Welcome to the Hillbilly Hooks. This is a discussion group dedicated to the tradition and craft of country music songwriting. I'm your host, Evan Sprague, along with my assistant, Richard James. We have a very special guest, Mr. Shawn Bracken, with us today. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, good to see you.
Thank you, Evan. Thanks for joining us, Shawn.
You're very welcome.
This is our debut of our official debut of our discussion group dedicated to, like Evan just said, the tradition and craft of country music songwriting. And Shawn, as our guest tonight, I think we'll start with a topic that you suggested. If you want to tell us your idea, and we'll just riff on it.
Yeah, I've always been kind of enamored with the geography of, country music. And what I mean is like where everybody's from that kind of has to do with their writing. Just how they grew up in areas of the country and how that influences their writing and how they actually transform that in their writing to the public. And I think country music does a really, really, really fantastic job. A lot of the writers do with bringing people into their world so they can see it, and then showing it outward through songs. So I've always been fascinated by that.
That is really interesting, isn't it? How somebody like Willie Nelson from Texas has a feel that seems, to be born of that part of the country. And you might even have stuff from, say, closer to like the border that sound, real Tex-Mex. You could have different styles even within Texas because it's so big.
Right.
But certainly your Memphis country music is different than guys from Arkansas or Nashville.
That's right.
That's very interesting.
It seems like too, like certain sounds come out of those places of the country too. It seems like more where, it seems like in Texas there might be more of, or like for instance, like maybe like Bakersfield, where some of the people that came out of there, the beat is more kind of a shuffle. It's kind of more, Buck Owens-esque, Merle Haggard, that kind of style from there, and then they kind of take that and transform that into country music, that West Coast country sound, which kind of went into the and it kind of went into too like that West Coast where it kind of sometimes feels like the singing is more kind of laid back, and I think that's where like the Southern California Americana cosmic country people kind of grabbed from that, and you can kind of tell where they get that stuff from too. Like Dwight Yoakam, I think, falls into that category. Who I love.
Yeah, me too. Big fan. I was just playing some Dwight Yoakam for Michelle a few days ago, and he's actually scolding me like, "This stuff is great. How come you've never played him for me before?"
Right.
So
he's so smooth and sincere, and talk like he just. Have you ever heard him like just talk about music? Like he has a show on Sirius XM. Evan, do you have Sirius, or Rick? Do you guys have Sirius XM?
I don't.
Satellite.
No, I think I haven't heard him talk about music, but I heard that he's more like fluent.
Yeah.
And he knows what he's talking about.
Right. He has actually a channel now, but he also has a show called The Bakersfield Beat where he just talks about stories and like stories behind the songs, and like I was saying, like where he's from and the things that were happening in Southern California at the time. And it's fascinating. It's like, and he'll play songs in between too, and he'll have guests that come out and they'll play together sometimes, or the guest will perform a song or two. But just like just that passion that he exudes and just telling simple stories, is just really, really cool.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Evan, go ahead.
You do need passion for music. I mean,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's why we're
Okay.
here. And that's a great analogy right off the bat there. I should say a great example you cite there, Shawn, because that Bakersfield sound, you put a Buck Owens record next to, Johnny Cash record, and
Hmm.
these artists are lumped into the same category of country music, and both
Right.
incredible. Both are legends for sure,
Hmm.
but they're really worlds apart of where they come from and the
That's
end
right.
result. And very much a part of a product of where they're from.
Right. That's right.
And that's
And I think like with, go ahead. Sir.
I was going to say that's an interesting subject on a lot of different types of music too. Just like when you talk
That's right.
about blues, there's Delta blues from the South, and I'm talking the stuff from way back when, and the Piedmont style blues, which was more East Coast, and then once they got into the cities, and a lot of the blues musicians couldn't be heard in these crowded bars, is when electric instruments and drums got involved, and so there
Right.
are things that came out of Chicago that are different than what was going on in Memphis. And and I think that's an interesting thing to contemplate too, because that's just in this country. When you think about like the traditional styles of world music from countries all over the world, there's not even like one kind of, I don't know, Russian music. We tend to think of that as like
Right.
their traditional music must sound like one thing. But that's a
Yeah.
huge country that probably also has a lot of diversity for different parts of that huge country and the different styles of music. It's probably the same there as it is here.
The Smithsonian Folkways folks, they do a really, really nice job of like putting out records to that like traditional from like different countries. They'll have like, I saw one recently. It was traditional Hungarian music. Just like here, like they'll put together like classic mountain songs or whatever. But yeah, every country has their own kind of style, and obviously I think it has to do with where they're from, the dynamics, the situation that they are in, as far as working and living and so forth. So it's cool. And I think like with country artists and with a lot of artists, but since we're talking about country artists, I think there's a definitely like hard working class mentality to it that you can hear. Like you can hear like the
Love you.
roughness. Love you.
My sister.
Yeah.
Bye.
All kinds of fun. But I think like it's like you can hear like the work it takes and the dedication and the kind of a lot of those folks in country music came from almost nothing, and then you can hear it come out in their songs, which is fascinating in itself. And I think it has a lot to do with the musicians that are from that area and what they're listening to. Speaking of Johnny Cash, him and Luther and I forget the upright bass player from the Tennessee Two. Rick, can you help me up there?
Yeah.
I forget his name.
We'll look it up.
Forget the bassist. Yeah, I forget the bassist. But anyway, like they were all just hanging around Memphis and buddies, and I think people that Johnny actually might have met in the neighborhood. And they were just kind of influenced. Johnny, although being from Arkansas, he kind of migrated to Memphis for work after the service. But like,
yeah,
I think like those guys, just with whatever was going on with Memphis, and I think the influence of Sun Records, having a big that sound coming out of there with that slap back echo, that everybody that was around there in those music circles knew what was coming out of there and the sound that was coming out of there. You can't help but be influenced by that. By that, like, just I think one of the best sounds ever. Just Sun Records just blows me away. I can never I don't know. It's something in the water down there, something that went through that place was just, and it has the right people,
Yeah.
the right time.
That place is like the center of the universe.
Yeah, right. Man. Of
Yeah,
all the times I've been to Graceland, I've never taken the Sun Record tour.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know.
How about you, Evan? Have you been to Memphis yet, Evan?
No, I haven't been to Memphis, but I have been to Nashville, where country was first born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my cowboy boots and my hat, and
That sounds electric, man.
I'm in my cowboy belt, the buckle. There's like people in Nashville that were on a trolley drinking beer.
Oh
and
yeah, there's a
they're
pretty big deal there right now. Those
they're
trolleys.
like,
and
they were whistling, and I'm like,
Oh,
what? And
yeah.
I'm like, is it me and my cowboy stuff?
Yeah.
Like, whistling at?
You can't not have a good time there. I mean, it's just just everything that happens there. That town's electric, and
it's engineered to prevent having a bad time.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think before we sign off for part one, which I think went really good, since we're pretty much just making this up as we go along, I want to say again what a great idea that was to bring to this conversation, Shawn, and even what you said a moment ago, how geographically, economically, the things that are going on around you. Coal mining songs came out of like West Virginia, you know what I mean? But like cowboy songs came out of the West because they were real cowboys out there, and everything in between. Honky tonk songs came out of Nashville because people were working and spending their paycheck in the bars on the weekends. And so that's very cool. Very cool. So Evan, what do you say we wrap up part one, and we'll invite everybody to join us again for part two.
Okay.
All right. Shawn, thanks for being there.
Thank you.
Thank you.